Welcome to Eureka Math. I'm Mr. Shankel. I'm going to help you today with Lesson 1. I did it again. Unit 1, Lesson 5. Let's get started. Number 1, Jane completes several example problems that ask her to find the opposite of a number. And for each example, the result is a positive number. Jane concludes that when she takes the opposite of any number, the result will always be positive. And we have to decide if Jane is correct. So let's first talk about a couple of examples. Let's take maybe the number 3. If we start with the number 3, we want to find the opposite of that number first. So the opposite of 3 is negative 3. And then we want to find the opposite of the opposite. So the opposite of negative 3 then is positive 3. So looks like Jane might be right. Let's try 5. The opposite of 5 is negative 5. And the opposite of the opposite is positive 5. So far, Jane is right. But notice we've only started with positive numbers. So let's try a negative number, maybe a negative 9. We want to find the opposite of negative 9, that's 9. And then the opposite of the opposite is back to negative 9. So I think you can see that we disproved Jane's theory. If you start with a negative number, it's the opposite of the opposite is going to turn it back to a negative. We can write this in another way. We'll start with the number 9. The opposite, well, that's a negative. And then the opposite again is another negative. So this is the opposite of 9, which is exactly what we want. And you can see the two negatives. Now, if you cover this up and you say, okay, well, let me fix that because I kind of took the 9 away. There we go. If you cover that up and you say, what number is that? Your answer would be 9. And then if I added that negative back in, I would say that's the opposite of 9, which is negative 9. And then we would say, one more, we would say that's the opposite of negative 9. So the opposite of negative 9 then is positive 9. So the opposite of the opposite turns back into the original number. Okay? To support your answer from the previous question, create an example written as an equation and illustrate your example on the number line. Well, we kind of did that here, and we would say that if we start with 9, the opposite of 9 is negative 9. And then the opposite of that would go back to 9. So the opposite of the opposite goes right back to where we started from, which was the original number 9. Okay, that's lesson 5. Hope that helps. See you again next time.